Welcome, welcome to the lovely HP community and the 5D collective. To those who are new, we're a bunch of mystics and mindfully, spiritually living and loving people who have in our forefront the securely attached embodiment of our true selves and so our inner child adults. So we don't need the therapists. We are healed, and therefore, healed means that you're non traumatized because you process emotions and thoughts with your prefrontal, bilateral, vertical, overall. And we're here for the ones who are going to consistently be working to get to their healthy self worth empowered 5D frequency. So, Mystic Mentor, content creator, podcast host, integrating it all, science and spirituality, looking into human evolution, consciousness, and I am the pseudoscience woo lady because we respect the true scientists and then we know of the ones who are cut off from Purusha, pure consciousness, unconditional love, and Prakriti, pure energy. The whole 3-year-old heart is what I call it, and they all serve a purpose because our entire collective, 5D collective, 3D, 4D of 8 billion and growing people serve. Okay, so on that note, those of us who are 5D, we're self empowered feminines and masculines, and we grow intimate and passionate relationships and we expand each other. So I'm going to read a little bit to you. Fulfillment comes from a whole self. So for me, as an 8-year-old, I was fulfilled because I got to have a consistent child centric environment, or better way to be put, because some people might beg to differ, I have the capacity to share it with our lovely Richard Schwartz, PhD. When you get good parenting and you don't have a lot of attachment wounds from your past, from your parents, then you don't have a lot of protectors, you don't have a lot of exiles, and you have a lot more access to self in general. Secure attachment is when you are more self-led. So, I mean, some people might say it's not completely child-centric. That's the part. We all have charged states, but our child charged states don't stay charged if you are led by the whole self, the higher self, okay? And that's the body. So it's not only the environment. Actually, no, it's not the environment at all. It's your body that will determine how you interact. However, my first year of life, I need to have learned secure attachment for that to be my active way to go at something, meaning I know healthy self-regulation. Because if I do not have secure attachment, then I know unhealthy self-regulation. I'm going to have to unlearn that and learn healthy. So I'm going to leave all that stuff to the side because I want to get to more of our topic, but I was looking for another quote that I want to read, which is this one. So trauma, Pat Ogden, impacts the body so strongly, and the responses that the body has are often not metabolized. So people get stuck in trauma time. They cannot move on from it until those responses are metabolized. So when you meet people who have that, we know of Stephen Porges, as he points out, they have biological rudeness. They're not choosing it. And when they're going to engage with somebody who is in their state of safety, so I'm safe to connect, I'm not in the threat or life threat. I'm not in the red. No, that's the yellow or the red, as how he calls it. So I'm not in sympathetic or dorsal vagal. And that's the part of protection, okay? So I'm in safety and I'm in connection. When I'm near people, we're going to find out if they're welcoming to that or not. And as Deb Dana says, and Stephen Porges probably, yeah, some people, he says it differently than Deb Dana. He says they might be reactive to the state of safety, or they might be welcoming. We don't know. It'll depend on how they interact with you. Then Deb Dana also shares the importance of having a therapist that is anchored in ventral vagal energy, because they are important for the people that go to them so that those people can co-regulate. Because the dysregulated nervous system is reaching out and looking for some ventral vagal energy, because that's the ease state. Your body gets to stay at ease, okay? And they often won't be able to find it on their own. So it's really the therapist that works with them, or any healthy self-worth person. When we come into contact with people, if they're open to their own whole self, they will be open to the safety that we're providing. And that's where you're a safe haven, secure base. And therefore, you will make secure attachment relationships, okay? So the nature of trauma, Bessel van der Kolk, is that it's overwhelming. And so you can try to take a trauma history, but you will not be able to really take that because it's a split off. The trauma history split off. What you're going to get is a cover story, the pieces that a person can tell you, but the really, really traumatic pieces are split off, and they only come back up as sensations, images, fleeting states, rage attacks, freezing, and this is as experiences, so not as the stories that you might ask. question, okay? And that's where our structural dissociated people are. So empowered feminine is a whole person, meaning a whole self, who leads with a self-regulating nervous system and ventral energy. That's why mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight support. A person who talks about their emotions as laundry, like that Zen master, is not a person who's non-traumatized, because they don't know how to use their prefrontal when they're doing their temporal junction. They're ruminating in a way that allows the monkey brain to take over. Otherwise, you wouldn't be calling your emotion laundry. You'd be saying, yeah, sometimes things happen. So when people talk about their states of emotion and their states of thought, you will understand if they're in the group of the people who know ventral energy and self and are leading with a higher self. Robert Sapolsky with Determined says we have no free will, and he's basing, I think it's a qualitative analysis, I haven't looked into it, on a number of things, but basically those first 3 years of life. I beg to differ, because a person who heads on over to Bessel van der Kolk or Dr. Daniel Siegel or to Janina Fisher or to Dr. Daniel Fox or to any of those good therapists, Patrick Tian, will be able to undo that which was done because of their beginning, and to get to their healthy self-worth, and to get to their earned secure attachment, to get to consistently embody their own whole self. So you will reach a sense of wholeness and therefore fulfillment when your higher self and all your inner child parts are part of it, but you are leading with this, the bilateral, vertical, and overall integrated brain. And that's what we are here at HP, the 5D collective. So people who are doing mindset, mindfulness, mindsight, and as passionate, intimate relationships, that's why we expand each other. So your frequency is in the enlightenment frequency. If you've ever seen that little scale, the reason you're maintaining it is because of the harmonized feminine. Sometimes I call her divine feminine and divine masculine, the mind, and then I call the left the masculine, the right the feminine, because all that comes up. Okay, so we're harmonized in our feminine, masculine, so in our body and mind, and we have anchored in the ventral energy, because we're good with meeting people. We don't say, I don't go out because there's all those energy vampires out there. Spiritual bypassers, by the way, and spiritual egos are really not something that an empowered feminine who comes with God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit and what is called humility and actively remembering. As I got taught in catechism, I got taught a beautiful, beautiful catechism, my Christian Catholic. So that's why I knew when I got clairs that I would not be welcomed by some, but that the ones of the Holy Spirit will not be looking at me in any way differently than anybody else of us who's bringing it all in. And also, we won't deny sciences, because sciences actively makes true that kingdom of God that is within you, because it talks about how you can heal your embodied brain, which is looking to return home to its true self. Because your body, the feminine, is the biology. Your brain, mind, that's the masculine again, but it needs to have bilateral. And the masculine, unfortunately, has a very different journey, because that ego continuously talks over and says, I don't have emotions. I'm not emotional. In fact, the fancy lady in suit, what did she say? It's dangerous to have no emotions. It's not true that it's inherently healthy or enlightenment to have non-reactivity. That's the masculine, the dumbass ego, which is only a left-brainer. If they were if they were smart, they would have learned about how your only emotions, because your first 3 years are all implicit. And so sensations, images, affects, meanings, behaviors. Experiences come up as behaviors that are maladaptive, so drinking, drugging, fucking, that are also adaptive child, confusing shit, or like my facade friends, so people who talk over each other. And then it's also the black and white thinking, yes and no, not being able to handle maximum uncertainty because of wanting to have maximum certainty, because of wanting control. Why do you want control? Because of the incapacity to feel safe here while we're out in a world that is full of uncertainty. When on the other hand, you deal with uncertainty, unexpected, unwanted with a whole. So wholeness and fulfillment mean I ain't afraid. Here's where I come again with God, which is why I didn't get afraid with clairs. I just knew that I wouldn't be welcomed by all. And then I found out that they're the same as spiritual gifts and psychic gifts, and that the neuroscientists, neurobiologists look at it and look into it. And then that decentralization is part of our human evolution. And I think, what dumb idiots don't learn things? Because this is what my brain thinks, not conspiracy. I think, how are you not hearing information well? Your ears are really clogged up somehow. And then people just love to go to those cliche sentences, because that's what people who do stereotypes do. Smart brains don't do stereotypes, because that's the whole point. A smart brain is stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, means you consiliently bring it all in. And I say smart because I love to learn. I love to love, and my baby, he loves to laugh, and he loves to learn, and he loves to live, expand, and not cast stones. And furthermore, to actively be so curious about all these pieces of information and be discerning, not a skeptic in a way of let me now dismantle everything that was from yesterday's news because we got some disinformation going on. Yeah, well, no shit. There's been disinformation a long time ago. I learned all about who writes history from my political sciences years, and I'm thinking, did somebody not learn about that one? I mean, I didn't like hearing about it. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. So you're not telling us truth. If you're telling me and you're teaching me that it's those who win that write, so wait, it's all skewed. That's bullshit. I'm here to learn shit. I'm not here to hear your skewed, implicit, or explicit bias. I mean, can you make it transparent? Make it transparent, and then I'll be okay with it. Because you're telling me you're hypothetical, but then you're giving me the data. Give me the data, give me then your way of adding it up, and then I can make my own conclusions, if you will. And then there's some things that it is what it is, but of course we can leave it in the hypothetical, meaning you can allow yourself to know that there's more things that can be potentials. So empowered, again, feminines, masculines, we are expanding consistently thanks to that body and mind that has this harmony and that is anchored in ventral energy. And we are in our body's state of safety and connection. Non-traumatized people and mystics because we process emotions and thoughts and we share them with each other, and that's because we have secure attachment, own the sense of self, the solo self, the narrative relational, and the solo core. And then we get to talk about it. So you're regulating independently of other, and then you're getting to talk about that which are deeply emotionally amazing experiences. So again, we are not all on the same place, but the 5D collective is here for the ones who take healing trauma seriously, and therefore we bring each other self-empowered journeys. Healthy self-regulation, healthy self-soothing, healthy self-worth, healthy everything means moderation. Doesn't mean you're going to go no wine, no smoking cigars. I mean, I don't do any of the drug stuff and it's illegal, so personally I wouldn't want any of that. But I mean, I'd be a hypocrite to say don't do it since I smoke the cigars, right? If somebody wants to really say, but the only ones who say don't do it or do it, or you're not poly enough, wow, really, that's not mature at all, like zero. Anybody who's doing anything like that is not mature, and we got a bunch of them out there. They're giving each other golden rings. 12 karat. Yes, so the empowered feminine and masculines, we don't pamper each other like that. We're not children. We're actually empowered higher selves, which is where the difference lies. So when you know a differentiated self, you're going to know what an empowered feminine or an empowered masculine. And again, it's really fun. So soul time and empowerment, it comes all in one with those of us who are our star babies. And eternal child is what you get, inner child adult. So we don't have any exiles, no orphaned parts, nothing that we're throwing at each other. We got a Merkaba activation. And so you self-regulate again in that ventral energy and your capacity to consistently work with that which comes up. And you don't call it Zen Master Laundry, please. We call it, I got one of those days today. I got to put into practice how to use my two sides of the brain and not whine about it too much. Because, at the end of the day, there's really not much to whine about. But I do love that I get to just sit here and be able to talk about it. So the one thing that is beautiful for those of us who are divine counterparts, and we'll have more on this because our theme is this: the divine counterparts of the 5D collective have found the capacity to be with people who know how not to be weighed down by thoughts or emotions, and actually how to care about those days. Meaning, of course, if there's a moment of frustration or crying or anger or whatever, I want that moment and those moments so that we can, in your safe spaces, share it. That means privacy. But the part about what counterparts do is to support each other to fly. Always, not just sometimes. Besides expand. You can only fly with your emotions if you're knowing how to... I was thinking of a song. I'll share it with our channeled guidances tomorrow or when they come up on Friday. But it's when you can be open-hearted, when you can be enriched, because that miracle of life is a miracle. So in 24 hours... having emotions come up means you're alive. And getting to share with someone who cares about the depths of you, that's the difference. So yes, I want to know about the depths of your heart, your soul, that every inch of whatever it is that you are holding here, not because of it being important or not important, because I want to see you, because I want to soothe you and the nervous system. Okay, so the seeing and the soothing comes organically with whole people, not because of the need of it, because two are in ventral energy, all on their own, all by myself. So it's when the empowered feminines and masculines can see, soothe, safe, secure. That's an inner child adult, their self, that you have a safe haven, secure base, man, woman, or they. Now when I'm sharing life with another that I'm interested in, because there has to be that depth of appreciation, that bond. And here's why, whether it's a oversoul or not, because the mystics have a whole different way that we can tell you about our oversoul. Okay, and remember, anima mundi, you accept all, reject none. And so with that, we remember where we come from. I know I do. I have a lot of lives. So we have prosperity with our counterparts, we have complete perception, we have full remembrance, and empowered masculines and feminines enjoy their time together because, again, it's sharing a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self in a way that is appreciative, just because I want to get to know you, I want to share life with you. That's actually what is the gift. The gift is, it's a miracle that I'm alive, or it's a gift. 1 trillion chance that you'll be reborn, as Neil deGrasse points out. Okay, so with God, it's a miracle. With science, it's a miracle. And then I get to share it with somebody who cares about me. And I care about them. Oh, and they don't bring me any of what is the low self-esteem, passive aggressive, all of that, which is basically needing Patrick Tiahan or Terreal, learning to love yourselves first, then come back around once you can actually have what is called a real conversation and a real emotion, and not be emotionally unavailable or emotionally chaotic, is what, either or excuse me, how dare you not say hello? No, what was it? Am I not decent enough to be saluted? Or I don't believe it. I don't believe in trauma. I don't believe in neuroscience. I don't believe it. You don't believe in a lot of shit I see. Okay, so when people, again, are not interested in that which is bringing forth passion, because I talked to you about being yourself. Self-empowered personal development people. Mindfulness is for the ones who want to do it. Okay, so trying to just wrap it all up. You don't meet people who are grown-ups if they don't know how to handle thoughts, emotions, and their day-to-day life with people. And so intimacy is created when you have authentic. You then create a bond. You then share appreciation. And if romance is born, that's where we have our empowered counterparts in that way. And that's because you're a bonus in life. I'm a bonus in life. Because we can do it without each other, but we like to do it together, and we like to expand, and then we cherish that uniqueness, which is nobody's going to get to share that moment with you ever again. This is the part that is unique because it's special to the two people. Meaningful, meaningless. In fact, life is the same way. You give it meaning, you take it away when you wake up in the morning, which is why mental health and healing trauma is the number one priority of anyone who will be in our 5D collective, because Christ consciousness, not only Christ with forgiveness, it's oneness. So it's bilateral vertical integration, but also the ventral energy, the heaven in the body. You cannot be in a state of compassion in the absence of having all your child parts reparented and asleep. And so while my somatic therapist teachers told us all, don't worry, the body and brain are headed there. Oh, I got it. I know what they're talking about. I've been a mystic and with Claire since about 2007. That's when I got to begin. And you being spiritual, well, I'm going to save that for tomorrow and more days, because seriously, the amount of people who are not embodying their true spirituality. You can be intuitive. In fact, there was someone who said half of the world would be intuitive at some point. Yeah. If you're using your amygdala as an empowered feminine, I'm going to know. By the time you're done, I'm going to have learned whatever the fuck is your little go-to karma wheel, and I'm just going to be able to walk it like you talk it, because my facade friend taught me all about how to leave it alone. You all know the story, and I love my friend to death. But the part about what an empowered feminine is we ain't wasting our time with stagnating energy. So what I mean is you ain't going to be with a counterpart who doesn't have the capacity to be with their ventral energy, because they're not even using their brain. They're not using their mind. They're not using their self. We have a mentally non-bilaterally, meaning I use half my brain and then I don't use the other. Okay, so I'm just bringing it to you. I have all the compassion in the world. If determined would be correct for any reason, then it means that we have a group of people who won't be moving into the 5D. But it's not a good or bad thing. It's Are you interested in being enriched from the depths of you? And this is where I'm in the enlightenment soul age group. So remember, we also have other soul age groups. This is that part of wholeness is achieved because your inner child is an adult now. This is when you're going to know wholeness. When you know how to be your own safe haven, secure base. That's who I'm saying are counterparts for our 5D masculine and feminine. These are not people who need Terry or Patrick Tian. Those people, first they do that. While they're doing that, they know where they're at and they know, okay, I can embark on this journey now because I am consistently able to be in a state of safety in myself and connect. Some of us will have learned it through our relationships from that teenage years. Okay, so that part of being non-traumatized and consistently being in your ventral energy. It's with self-awareness, accountability, regulation, reflection, and caring about beyond your soul self because you care about your human herd, however it came to be. That's who's embodying true spirituality. And so they're not bypassers. They're not pretenders. The ones who instead are wearing a title, they're just doing their thing. So long story short, as we conclude, what I was just trying to get to is people who are whole, they appreciate each other. Fulfillment then comes from that which you are seeking to create. If you're empowered as a feminine, then you'll be an empowered masculine because the body is easy to follow when the mind is your friend and they are harmonized. So I know no loss of time, which is why I won't waste it with those who are in a lost. Meaning, minute I see you doing some weird shit, I'm going to tell you, what the fuck are you doing? That's it. I'm done. Once you make me clear again that you don't know what the fuck you're doing, doesn't matter what you are of my oversoul, I don't get confused. The empowered feminine isn't confused because our gut is going to instinctively tell us if we're physically safe, which is our first priority, the spiritual thing. You ain't going to get lost in a spiritual narrative. And that's what you actually learn. As an empowered feminine, what I can tell you is you learn how you're oversoul. It don't matter if they're your oversoul. They're people. In fact, I was reminded of ego. And then I was like, shit, you completely forgot about ego, Maria. This is very good that you were reminded of it because ego is self-serving. Now I know that ego is also blind, which I already had noticed, but now I know it with the attachment trauma educators. So a self-serving blind ego is a masculine, whether they're woman or man, don't matter, who is like my facade friend, who's simply going to be where a warm body is so that they can feel a sense of ease whenever shit goes down. And then, of course, if they're there, they're there. I mean, this is that part of where we don't go and count it on the, number of... You don't do that shit. But my point is, counterparts are counterparts for a reason. It means that none of this is happening. And that's where, whether they're spiritual or not, they're able to consistently show up. And they're able to do that because they have energy. Because they're not drained. Because they're fulfilling and or moving towards fulfillment and wholeness. So they're regarding their mental health alongside their body's health. Because the body and the mind work together. And that's where we have, thankfully for the younger generation, a bunch of smart people. But then you got a bunch of other people who are doing other stuff, which we're going to leave alone. And therefore, I'm going to conclude at this point. Thank you for stopping by. I'm sure I left you hanging with some stuff, but we will be back with more tomorrow. Have a good one.